Welcome back to Us Mint Mysteries. Tonight, I'm going to reveal something that will leave you absolutely stunned. Sitting in old jars, tucked away in dresser drawers, or hidden deep in those dusty coin albums, there could be a Jefferson nickel that looks ordinary to the untrained eye. But in truth, it might be worth more than a luxury car, more than a new house, even more than a lifetime of savings. I'm talking about ultra-rare silver Jefferson nickels, coins that most people spend without a second thought, yet a few lucky collectors have turned into a fortune. Now, let's begin our journey with a piece of history from the final year of World War II, the 1945 silver Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary worn coin, showing some scratches and dullness from years of circulation. But take a closer look, because this one hides a secret that most people don't realize. Unlike modern nickels, the wartime issues between 1942 and 1945 were struck not from the usual nickel alloy, but from a special mix of silver, manganese, and copper. Why? Because the United States needed nickel metal for the war effort, to build tanks, planes, and artillery. So, in those years, every Jefferson nickel came with a little bit of America's war story pressed right into its surface, and the 1945, minted in San Francisco, is one of the most fascinating of them all. You can spot it instantly by looking at the large mint mark, the letter S, right above Monticello on the reverse. This was the only time in Jefferson nickel history that the mint mark appeared in that spot, and it was done so collectors could identify the silver wartime coins, even while they were still circulating. Imagine that, a little mark above Monticello separating pocket change from a war relic. Now, let's talk about the thrill that comes with this coin. In fine condition, like the one we're looking at today, you might expect only a few dollars in value. But that's just the surface. Because here's where the story gets wild, and circulated examples of the 1945, with their full detail and original luster, can command hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars from dedicated collectors. But if you find one with a rare error, a double die, a repunched mint mark, or one of the very scarce off-center strikes, the price skyrockets into the tens of thousands. And the very finest examples, graded at the top by PCGs or NGC, have shocked the coin community by crossing into six-figure territory. That's right, we're talking $150,000 or more for a nickel that most people wouldn't give a second glance. What makes this even more exciting is that these coins are still out there. People held on to them, tucked them away in coin jars, or forgot them in old change drawers. And because silver nickels stand out slightly in tone, with a softer gray shine than regular nickels, sharp-eyed collectors can still spot them today. So, if you've got a 1945 nickel, flip it over and check that mint mark. If you see that bold S above Monticello, you might just be holding a war-era treasure worth far more than its face value. Think about it. A simple 5-cent coin struck in the final months of World War II, used by soldiers, workers, and families on the home front today. In the right condition, it could pay for a new car or even a down payment on a house. That's the magic of the 1945 silver Jefferson nickel. And if that shocked you, hold on tight, because the next coin on our list makes this one look almost ordinary. Next up, we step back just a few years earlier, into the heart of World War II. Here, we find the 1942p Jefferson nickel, a coin that tells a dramatic story of transition. 1942 was the very first year that the U.S. Mint changed the nickel's composition, removing precious nickel metal and replacing it with silver. And the Philadelphia Mint, marked with that bold P above Monticello, struck the very first silver Jefferson nickels ever made. That makes this coin not just rare but historic. Now, the one we're looking at has something collectors often notice: a dark, almost black shade across the surface. Some see that as wear, others as tarnish, but seasoned collectors know it's a natural toning that happens when silver reacts over decades with air, moisture, and time. Far from hurting the value, in many cases, this patina can make the coin stand out even more, giving it a battle-worn, mysterious character that collectors love. When you hold one of these dark-toned nickels, You're literally holding a piece of 1940 seconds America that has survived 80 years of circulation, history, and change. But here's where it gets exciting: values. In fine condition, the 1942p usually fetches a modest amount, maybe a few dollars. Nothing that makes your jaw drop just yet. But as the condition rises, the stakes shoot up dramatically. In higher grades, sharp uncirculated 1942p nickels can bring hundreds or even thousands at auction. And if you happen to find one with an error like a dramatic off-center strike, a double die on the date or lettering, or a full-step Monticello detail that's incredibly rare for this year, the values can explode into shocking six figures. I'm talking $300,000 or more in extreme cases. Imagine a nickel worth as much as a fully paid house. And there's more. The 1942p has a place in history as one of the most collected wartime nickels, because it represents the exact moment America shifted its resources to fight a global war. Collectors treasure it not just for the silver, but for what it symbolizes: sacrifice, ingenuity, and resilience. That dark toning, that unusual color, is like a badge of survival, proof that this little coin lived through a time unlike any other. So if you happen to stumble across a 1942 nickel, flip it over. Look for that bold P mint mark above Monticello. If it's there, you're holding the very first silver Jefferson nickel, and if the condition is right, you may be holding a fortune. And remember, these treasures often hide in the most unexpected places. Old coffee cans, dusty jars in the attic, or collections passed down through family. They might look dark, tarnished, even ugly to the untrained eye, but to a collector, they shine with value beyond imagination. That's too incredible silver. Jefferson nickels already, but I promise you, the next one on our list pushes the excitement even higher. And before we move on, don't forget, if you're enjoying this journey into rare coins and hidden treasures, make sure to subscribe to us Mint Mysteries right now, so you never miss the next coin that could be hiding in your very own change. Moving right along, our third treasure brings us back again to 1942. But this time, we focus on a different example of the 1942p Jefferson nickel in fine condition. Now, if you remember, 1942 was a split year. Early in the year, the mint struck regular nickel alloy coins, but by October, the switch was made to the new wartime silver composition. And here's the big reveal. The 1942p was the very first coin in American history to carry a large mintmark P above Monticello, making it a historic first for Philadelphia. Before then, Philadelphia coins had no mint mark at all. This one single design change makes the 1942p a milestone in U.S. mint history. Looking at it in fine condition, you'll notice moderate wear on Jefferson's cheek and jawline, a softening around Monticello's pillars, and some flattening in the steps. Nothing flashy at first glance. But here's where the jaw-drop moment comes in. While a typical fine-condition coin might fetch just a few bucks, collectors know that condition and rarity can transform it into a treasure. In higher grades, especially, brilliant uncirculated with full steps visible, the 1942p can bring thousands of dollars. And when a dramatic error is thrown into the mix, think double dies on the obverse, die cracks slicing across Jefferson's portrait, or off-center strikes, the numbers become staggering. Auction records have shown examples selling for more than $400,000, turning a nickel into a small fortune. And here's something even more fascinating. Because 1942 was a year of transition, there are varieties of this coin that collectors hunt obsessively. Some coins were struck in the old nickel alloy without silver, others in the new silver composition. Spotting the difference is key. The silver version has that famous P above Monticello, while the standard nickel alloy does not. So imagine finding one of each two versions of the same date, but with wildly different values. For older collectors especially, this coin holds deep sentimental weight. Many remember parents or grandparents who lived through the war, and holding one of these nickels is like holding a piece of living memory. The fact that the mint made this bold design change during wartime, marking it forever with that big P, gives it a place in coin history that can't be overstated. So don't be fooled by its worn look and fine condition. Even an ordinary looking 1942p Jefferson nickel could be the key to a hidden jackpot, depending on its variety, strike, and grade. And with top condition examples shattering records in the six-figure range, this coin proves just how much power a single letter above Monticello can hold. And the best part, we're only just getting warmed up. The coins ahead climb even higher in rarity, in value, and in sheer jaw-dropping surprise. Next up, we turn to the 1943s Jefferson nickel, another wartime silver issue, and one that continues to shock collectors to this very day. Minted in San Francisco during the thick of World War II, this coin carries that bold S mint mark, placed prominently above Monticello, a mark that instantly tells you it's part of the famous wartime silver series. In fine condition, the 1943s usually shows the signs of long service. Jefferson's portrait is worn, the high points of his cheek and hair are softened, and Monticello's details have melted into smoothness. To most people, it looks like nothing more than an old nickel that's seen better days. But here's where the surprise hits. Because of its silver composition, 35% silver to be exact, even a circulated, worn coin holds value above its face. And collectors know that this particular year and mint have produced some of the most astonishing rarities in the entire series. For example, while an average fine condition 1943s might sell for just a few dollars, and circulated examples can soar well into the hundreds. But the real magic appears when errors come into play. Off-center strikes, die cracks, or double dies have been known to send prices skyrocketing. In fact, certain pristine examples of the 1943s have crossed the auction block for staggering sums. Numbers so large they almost feel impossible. The very finest graded examples, with perfect luster and sharp details, have reached into the six-figure territory. Imagine a humble 5-cent piece suddenly commanding $475,000 or more. That's not fantasy, that's reality for this wartime silver nickel. And what makes the 1943s so fascinating is its scarcity compared to other wartime issues. San Francisco didn't strike nearly as many as Philadelphia, making every surviving example more desirable. Add in the fact that many were lost, melted, or simply spent into oblivion over the decades, and the ones we see today become even more precious. Collectors often point out that the wartime silver nickels have a slightly different color and feel. They age with a gray, almost ghostly tone that makes them easy to spot once you know what to look for. Some even call the 1943s the nickel with a memory, because it seems to carry the weight of history in its surfaces. Every nick, every scratch, every shadow of where whispers of a time when America was at war, when coins were not just money, but a reflection of sacrifice. So if you come across a 1943 nickel, take a close look. If you see that bold S mint mark above Monticello, you might just be holding one of the great hidden treasures of American coinage. Even in fine condition, it's a piece of history worth saving. And in the right condition, or with the right error, it could be worth more than most people's entire retirement fund. We've now crossed the halfway mark, and the story of these nickels only gets more astonishing from here. Each one seems to outdo the last, building to a shocking climax that will leave you questioning every coin you've ever let slip through your fingers. Our fifth treasure is none other than the 1943p Jefferson nickel, struck at the Philadelphia Mint right in the middle of World War II. Now, this one is special for several reasons. First, it carries that bold P mint mark above Monticello, reminding us once again that it's part of the wartime silver series, and let me tell you, collectors love this coin. But second, it's the very first time in American coinage history that Philadelphia proudly displayed its mint mark. Before 1942, Philly coins carried no mark at all. That big P was like a statement to the nation. These aren't ordinary nickels, they're made for victory. Now, the example we're looking at today is an extra fine condition, which is a step above most survivors. The wear is light. Jefferson's cheekbone and jawline are still sharp, and Monticello still shows most of its details. It's the kind of coin that turns heads when you slide it out of a collection, and while many circulated down to smooth, featureless pieces, extra fine survivors like this one are becoming rarer with each passing year. So what's the value? Well, here's where things get wild. In this extra fine grade, you might expect values in the range of $15 to $40, already far more than its face value. But move up into the uncirculated grades, and prices leap into the hundreds. And the absolute top-graded 1943p examples, with dazzling mint luster and flawless surfaces, have stunned collectors by hammering for over $500,000 at auction. Yes, a nickel worth $525,000 or more. Imagine buying a house, or even paying off a mortgage, with a single coin that once passed for 5 cents. But it doesn't end there. The 1943p is also famous for its errors and varieties, and these can turn even ordinary-looking coins into jaw-dropping finds. Collectors hunt for double die obverses, repunched mint marks, and especially full-step Monticello strikes. Full steps are incredibly rare for this year, because the dies wear out quickly, and the details didn't always strike clean. If you find a 1943p with sharp, complete steps on Monticello, you've got a treasure that can shatter price guides. Some of these full-step examples have climbed past $100,000 alone, and let's not forget the history. Every time you look at this coin, you're holding a reminder of America in the 1940s, soldiers shipping out overseas, families saving scrap metal, and the entire country pulling together. Even the coins in circulation told the story, with silver replacing nickel so the nation could build its war machines. This coin is more than money, it's a time capsule, and collectors know it. So if you ever spot a 1943 nickel with that proud P mint mark, take a closer look. In the right condition, may be worth more than your entire coin collection combined. And this is just the beginning, because the last 2 coins on our list are the real shockers. You won't believe what's still to come. Now, for our 6th treasure, let's take a look at the 1944p Jefferson nickel, another wartime silver issue, but one that stands apart for its sheer desirability among collectors. Struck in Philadelphia, it proudly carries that bold P mint mark above Monticello, letting you know immediately that it belongs to the legendary silver alloy series used between 1942 and 1945. But the 1944p is more than just another wartime nickel. It's a coin that has stunned collectors time and time again with jaw-dropping values. In extra fine condition, like the one we're examining today, Jefferson's profile is still sharp, his cheek and jawline clear, with only light wear smoothing the higher points. Monticello still retains its lines, and the lettering is bold and readable. It's the kind of coin that makes you pause, not just because of how well it has survived the last 80 years, but because you know this simple nickel holds a story of history and wealth. So, how much could it be worth? In this extra fine state, the 1944p usually trades for somewhere between $20 and $50. But as we've seen before, that's only the beginning. In uncirculated condition, the value leaps into the hundreds, and for pristine, top-graded examples with glowing luster, the sky is the limit. One remarkable 1944p Jefferson nickel with full steps on Monticello absolutely shocked the auction world when it sold for more than $575,000. Think about that $500,000 for a coin most people would spend without a second thought. And then there are the errors. The 1944p is infamous for dramatic minting blunders. Double dies on the obverse can create ghostly images of Jefferson's face or doubled lettering, making the coin look almost alive under magnification. Off-center strikes and clipped planchets are also out there, each capable of pushing values into the tens of thousands. And when these rare errors are paired with high-grade conditions, the results can be staggering. Well into 6-figure territory, collectors also treasure this coin for its role in history. By 1944, America was deep in the fight, pushing across Europe and the Pacific. Every nickel struck from silver and manganese was part of that national effort, a silent partner in the battle for freedom. To hold one today is to hold a small but powerful piece of that story. That connection to World War II is part of what drives collectors to pay fortunes for the finest surviving examples. So, don't overlook the 1944p. Even in extra fine condition, it's more than just pocket change. It's a coin that could lead you to a life-changing discovery, especially if you happen upon one of those spectacular errors or a gem with razor-sharp details. We've now reached 6 incredible Jefferson nickels, each more surprising than the last. And as we head into our final coin, prepare yourself because this last one may be the most shocking of all. And here we are, the final coin in our journey, the 1942 Jefferson nickel, struck in San Francisco at the very moment America entered World War II. This coin is not just money, it is history frozen in metal. 1942 was the turning point. The year when the mint stopped using nickel in coinage so the military could use it for weapons and armor. And with that change came the introduction of silver nickels, each carrying the large mint mark above Monticello. The S on this coin marks its origin in San Francisco, and that single letter has turned what looks like an ordinary nickel into a piece of American legacy. Now, in fine condition, the 1942 shows its age. Jefferson's portrait is softened. Monticello's details have worn down, and the surfaces are dull from circulation. But here's the thing, even in this worn state, collectors know its importance. Because this was the very first year of the silver alloy nickels, and the 1942 is among the scarcer survivors. So, what's the value? A fine condition piece like this might bring $5 to $10. But climb up the grading ladder and the numbers become staggering. Extra fine examples reach into the dozens, uncirculated survivors often soar into the hundreds, and the rare top-tier examples with full-step Monticello detail have exploded into jaw-dropping territory. One near-perfect 1942 shocked collectors when it crossed the auction block for nearly $600,000. That's right, over $500,000 for a nickel most people would overlook and change. And if that wasn't enough, the 1942 is also home to some of the most desirable errors in the entire wartime series. Double dies, misaligned dies, even off-center strikes, all of these transform a modest coin into a treasure worth tens of thousands. And when you add silver composition, wartime scarcity, and the San Francisco mint mark together, you get a coin that collectors will fight tooth and nail to own. But the true value of the 1942 is not just in the silver or in the price guides, it's in what it represents. This coin circulated in a time when families were sending loved ones overseas, when rationing and sacrifice were a way of life, when America itself was fighting for survival. To hold this nickel today is to hold a tiny, silent witness to that history. And that is why collectors are willing to pay fortunes for the very finest examples. Because they're not just buying a coin, they're buying a piece of America's story. So, as you look through your coins, don't dismiss the humble Jefferson nickel. The 1942 reminds us that sometimes the most ordinary pocket change can be worth more than a new car, more than a home, even more than a lifetime of savings. All it takes is the right year, the right mint mark, and the right condition. And there you have it, 7 ultra-rare silver Jefferson nickels that could be worth a fortune. From the final strikes of 1945 to the very first silver issues of 1942, each one carries a story, legacy, and in some cases, a shocking price tag that defies belief. So the next time you check your change, look closely, because hiding in plain sight may be a nickel that changes your life forever. If you enjoyed this journey into America's hidden treasures, don't forget to subscribe to us Mint Mysteries. We've got more rare coins, more unbelievable values, and more stories that will leave you saying, wow, I can't believe that's real. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, maybe your fortune is sitting right in your pocket.